Today, women's bodybuilding is a popular and established sport all over the world, with a complex system of competition categories. Participants are rewarded for their levels of fitness, wellness, and of course, their toned and muscular physique. Thousands of competitors each year flex rippling muscles in front of judges in the hope of winning a coveted trophy and title. But how did women's involvement in bodybuilding begin? It might surprise you, but the roots of the sport can be traced back to 150 years ago to the late 19th century. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank this episode's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. When you're surfing the net, you may feel that the world is at your fingertips, but the truth is that there are many websites and services that you're either not getting the most from or are missing out on altogether. For instance, many video streaming services often have different catalogs depending on the user's location, while some websites block entire countries from viewing their content. However, Surfshark VPN gives you the keys to unlock these doors and open up a world of information and entertainment. Using Surfshark, you can swap the location your device appears to be accessing sites from, allowing you to bypass any geo-restrictions. And as if that wasn't enough, it also helps protect your personal data and block adverts, even on here. There couldn't be a better time to try Surfshark, as they're currently in the midst of a holiday sale where you can sign up at a super low price and get 4 months free. To take advantage, simply head to surfshark.com/wellinever. You'll also find this link in the description below. We often think of the Victorian era as conservative and unadventurous, a woman's role being primarily within the home. But some set out to challenge these expectations, striding onto the stage in one-piece suits and tights in front of cheering crowds. These early women bodybuilders blazed a trail for others to follow, becoming celebrities admired for their physique as well as their daring feats of strength and bravery. Our first trailblazer came from the Welsh market town of Abergavenny, growing up in the shadow of its ruined castle and towering town hall. Kate Williams, who would later become better known by her stage name Vulcana, possessed impressive physical strength and performed as a strong woman in the late 19th century with strongman William Roberts, known as Atlas. Together, they wowed audiences in the UK and overseas. Vulcana lifting heavy weights and sometimes even people one-handed. She was also known for performing a stunt named the Tomb of Hercules, which involved supporting the weight of 2 horses and their riders on a platform laid on her torso. Vulcana soon became well known in concert halls and theatres, but used her celebrity status to promote the importance of physical fitness to other women. In 1903, during a 24-week tour in Australia, they were described as weightlifters and exponents of muscular development. In 1910, Vulcana was also called the founder of the modern school of physical culture for women. She stood at a fairly modest height, measuring 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 10 stone and 10 pounds. Reports stated that she was able to lift anything between 56 and 250 pounds in a slow press, one-handed lift, and she always maintained that she did not adhere to any special diet to preserve her powerful physique. In photographs, Vulcana gazes out at us, serene and formidable, in poses intentionally designed to emulate ancient Greek and Roman statues. She was regularly snapped, flexing her biceps in an array of costumes. For example, in one she appears swathed in a toga with a tangle of bracelets and a metallic headdress. Powerful images such as these cemented her public persona as mysterious and near mythological, but they also displayed her femininity, with one photograph emblazoned with the title Vulcana, the muscular beauty. One of the earliest proponents of women's bodybuilding and strength training, Vulcana went from a modest background in rural Wales to a career as a fitness educator and pioneer, performing feats of strength around the world. While she was heavy lifting and flexing under spotlights in Australia, another woman was causing a stir in the vaudeville theatres of the United States of America. Laverie Vallee, who went by the stage name Charmion, was a trapeze artist that rose to fame in the early 1900s for her impressive aerial routines. In one, she twirled and twisted on the trapeze while gradually removing her clothes. The act was not designed to be titillating or sensual, but was instead engineered to display her jaw-dropping physical strength and muscle control. A video of her performance was recorded by Thomas Edison in 1901 and still survives today. She begins the routine fully clothed in a long dark coat, hat and skirt, removing each item and throwing it towards two spectators watching from the balcony. Smiling and waving to Edison's camera, she demonstrates remarkable body strength and confidence. Like Vulcana, Charmion was photographed wearing dresses and one-piece suits, often with feathers and flowers in her hat or hair, while tightening her bulging biceps and back muscles. By 1905, she was already a highly regarded star in theatres, and a review in August of that year noted her wonderful muscular development and startling feats of strength. In 1909, Variety magazine billed her as the most perfectly developed woman in the world, and noted that she was able to even talk and joke with the audience while performing her breathtaking stunts. Audiences may have been enthralled by Vulcana and Charmion, but another strong woman was to hit the headlines in New Jersey. From 1888, Josephine Blatt performed under the stage name Manura with her husband Charles Blatt. Among her achievements was securing the title Champion Strong Woman of the World in 1893 and lifting a 365-pound granite rock with one finger, using a metal ring attached to the boulder. Sponsored by the sensationalist newspaper The Police Gazette, it's claimed she once lifted a platform with 18 men on in a hip and harness lift in 1895. The paper claimed the weight lifted was approximately 3,000 pounds or 1,361 kilos. By 1937, this claim had grown to 23 men and 3,564 pounds, over 1,600 kilos, according to an article in Strength and Health magazine. This earned Minerva a place in the Guinness Book of Records, the feat remaining until doubt began to creep in about its authenticity. Ending the truth makes a little more sense when you learn that Minerva was also an early proponent of professional wrestling. Indeed, she took on all comers, men and women, and even became the first woman in the US to win a wrestling championship. With her husband in tow, she toured the US, Europe, South America, and Mexico. And, like other strong women of the time, her husband assured reporters that she ate a normal diet to maintain her muscular frame, although she was especially partial to a dinner of lobster. Minerva retired in around 1911 and died in 1923. Our final strong woman hailed from Germany and was one of 16 siblings born to athletic bodybuilding parents. Katie Brumbach was hailed by the press as Europe's queen of strength, beauty and dexterity, and billed by the Barnum and Bailey Circus as the strongest woman that ever lived. Other stage names she used included the Great Sandwina and Lady Hercules. Katie's husband, Max Heyman, appeared with her in a routine where she lifted him up in the air by one hand, to the gasps of stunned onlookers. One review of 1911 described her as a towering woman with the muscles of Thor, who dandled her husband upon her upraised hands as if he were a nice little doll. Among promotional images of Katie, one shows her standing firmly on the ground while holding 3 men off the floor in her arms. Her appearance was often commented on, standing at 6 feet tall and weighing in around 200 pounds. In 1909, Physical Culture magazine dubbed her an extraordinarily powerful specimen of womanhood. Like Vulcana, she also took on a serious role promoting women's health, advising them not to eat too much, especially sugary foods, and to avoid drinking coffee and smoking tobacco. Katie smoothed the way for sports and performing careers to be made more accessible to women, serving as vice president of the Circus Women's Equal Suffrage Club. Vulcana, Charmion, Manura, and the great Sandwina were not the only women of the late Victorian and Edwardian periods who lifted and flexed on stage. There were others too who performed dangerous routines for enthusiastic and curious audiences around the world, adopting stage names evocative of ancient power, strength, and beauty. They entertained but also educated the public on how to achieve optimum health and fitness for themselves. It was a time of significant change for women, and as they fought to be recognized for their physical strength, others in the US and Europe campaigned for power on a different type of stage. The suffrage movement was well underway, and women would soon secure the right to vote in the early 20th century. Although these strong women openly challenged perceptions of women in Victorian and Edwardian society, they were not considered a threat. Eagerly accepted and marvelled at by spectators, reviewers were thrilled and astounded by their power, strength, and size. Reporters excitedly printed their diet and exercise tips, and photographers found creative ways to record and share their image. For one, her routine and moving image was one of the first to be recorded on the moving camera by Thomas Edison. Developed only a few years before, she twirled and spun on her trapeze in 1901. In many ways, these early bodybuilders and strong women changed the course of history. They showed that, like men, women could be strong, confident, and build muscle. Their celebrity status elevated the sport, inspiring other women to cast off their long skirts and take to weightlifting. Abby Pudgy Stockton, Joan Rhodes, and Ivy Russell were all famous bodybuilders and weight trainers in the later decades of the 1940s and 1950s. These women took the concept to another level, inspired by those who had gone before them. And if you're someone who spends a lot of time in the gym, or perhaps someone looking at starting an exercise regimen, maybe they can inspire you too. Thank you for watching, and thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget, you can currently sign up for a super low price and get 4 months free by heading to surfshark.com/wellinever. Right then. Take care, and I'll see you next time with another story to make you say, well, I never.